the first videos I ever did for The Simpsons and Me before I even called it The Simpsons and Me was a top 10 Treehouse of Horror segment list. And in all honesty, that is due for a relist at some point, namely because A, it was early in my video career and could have been done better, and B, my opinion can shift from year to year. It's actually one of the reasons I don't like doing top 10s, because things can change like really fast, opinion-wise. But this list is partially inspired by the Real Jim's recent top 20 scariest Treehouse of Horror segments video that he did. I want to take a look at my top 10 favorite Treehouse of Horror characters. And you might be asking, what constitutes a Treehouse of Horror character? Well, here's the thing. If I were to include characters who were like exclusive to the Treehouse of Horror specials, it would be a very short list. However, since Treehouse of Horror is an out-of-canon type deal, one can go ahead and assume that every character that appears in Treehouse of Horror while carrying the essence of said character from the main show is their own take or interpretation of said character that exists only in the Treehouse of Horror special that they're in. So therefore, my judgment of the top 10 Treehouse of Horror characters could include any Simpsons character that has appeared in a Treehouse of Horror special. If that makes sense. It's based on the portrayal of said character in the context of the story, whether or not they are a regular Simpsons character or an original character made for the Simpsons Halloween specials. Basically, this list is going to have a mix of original characters made specifically for the Treehouse of Horror series, but it's also gonna look at how regular characters are portrayed in said episode, like within reason. You're not gonna see me say like Lionel Hutz in Treehouse of Horror 4 because Phil Hartman's great, fuck you, subscribe, but it's also not going to just exclusively be like Jack in the Box Homer, because while Jack in the Box Homer is exclusive to Treehouse of Horror 2, in essence he's basically just Homer. Like there's a line here, and I hope it does get defined throughout my video, but expect a mix of characters who have a somewhat different portrayal and play a completely different version of themselves, or characters put into the role of a parody character, or just characters who you can only see in a Treehouse of Horror episode. So without further ado, here's my top 10 Treehouse of Horror characters. Coming in at number 10, we have Jack in the Box Homer. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. At number 10, we have Groundskeeper Willie in Treehouse of Horror 5, just in general, because you know how he works in this one. There's just something so great about taking a character such as Willie, who has no real development in the wider scope of the show and is nothing but a simple gag consisting of an ethnic stereotype, and giving him this cross-segment role in one of, if not the greatest, Treehouse of Horror episodes of all time. They took the concept of Willie being put in the role of Dick Halloran from The Shining, and then had that transcend into like the other unconnected stories. He's this benevolent force who tries to help the Simpsons with whatever issue they're facing in whatever segment, but he's ultimately destined to be killed with an axe. It's like this cross-dimensional predestination for Willie, and it kills me. I love this. I've read up that it's supposed to be a reference to the Dark Tower or the works of Stephen King and such. Like, I don't know, full disclosure, I've never really read much Stephen King, so I'm just gonna have to take whoever's word for it. But I get the idea of that kind of multiversal character because I've read a lot of other works, and it does make sense. It's pretty funny, and I like how the last time it happens, they throw a lampshade.
Hold on, kids! I'm coming to rescue the lot of you! Ow! Ugh, I'm bad at this.
And I love how at the end of the episode they even pay respect to the character's appearances and have him jump in on the ending dance number for a chorus line. It's as if the writer's room was just like, yo, what if we just gave Willie some extended screen time for no discernible reason, and then they did. I love you, multiversal, endlessly dying Willie, but you're still just a number 10. Moving on to number 9, we have Kang, Kodos, and Serak from Hungry Are the Damned. Now, just bear with me for a second, because this is not the only time that Kang and Kodos are going to be on this list, because Kang and Kodos have a weird distinction due to the non-canon nature of these specials. Each appearance of Kang and Kodos, while it may kind of have the spirit of the character, they're all just very differently characterized on an as-needed basis. They could be conquerors, they could be bumbling observers, or devious depending on how you interpret Hungry Are the Damned.
Excellent, Mr. Simpson.
Being a parody of the classic Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man, you could be forgiven for immediately cluing in and thinking, oh, they're going to eat the Simpsons, but they leave it ambiguous enough. Kang, Kodos, and Serak seem to have, altruistic motivation, but they come off as a little socially weird personality-wise, but they're still nothing but accommodating to the Simpsons. But it's this whole alien thing. You don't know what they're really up to. I think keeping the ultimate motivations of the aliens in the dark makes it effective, and it makes the characters more interesting whenever we see them interact with the Simpsons family. Because when Lisa finds the cookbook and confronts the aliens about it, the aliens shift straight into denial mode.
Let me get this straight.
They thought we were going to eat them.
Good God. Is this some kind of joke?
No, they're serious.
People familiar with the original To Serve Man story would know what is up, but then they throw the ending in for this one. The book is revealed to actually say how to cook for 40 humans, and immediately the aliens are outraged at the thought, and it's played as the Simpsons having basically let their untrusting human nature ruin their chances at a utopian life. But is that really the case here? Now, this doesn't factor in how in the original script the book was going to be revealed to say how to cook for 40 humans and then eat them. On a recent rewatch, I became fascinated by a theory which kind of helped me put these characters on this list. Like, what if they were actually intending to bring the humans back to their home world to eat them, but then maybe being around the Simpsons and interacting with them before finally being confronted with this made them actually feel guilty enough to feign denial and outrage so that they didn't need to admit that they were planning to eat them. Basically using this whole thing, thrusting the blame on the Simpsons and using it as an out so that they could just drop the Simpsons back off at home. It's an interesting way to look at it, but either way, it's the first appearance of iconic characters, and I do like how they were portrayed in a very Star Trek manner in general, as a peaceful but misunderstood alien race. One of my favorite genres of sci-fi is that dynamic where humans simply just misunderstand an alien race because they're aliens. And Kang, Kodos, and Serak feel alien, but like aliens who read up and researched humans, but are solely basing how they approach them based on those secondhand experiences. The Simpsons are trusting and kind of dumb, and Kang and Kodos and Serak are just kind of going along probably with what they've researched, but I don't know, it's interesting. I like all the three aliens in this a lot. Like, I wish we could see more of Kang and Kodos in this type of role, but again, it's not the only time they'll appear on this list. Also, bonus points that Serak the Preparer, who never appeared again in any Treehouse of Horror episode, was voiced by James Earl Jones, who did a voice in every segment of Treehouse of Horror 1. Coming in at number 8, we have a tie. It's the street vendor from The Monkey's Paw and the shop owner from Clown Without Pity. Now, there's another tie coming up, but this one is a tie because the characters are different from one another, yet they both play a similar role. They're also both minor characters as well, but they do have a vague connection to one another. The street vendor appears in The Monkey's Paw, and he's a stereotype of like the mysterious Middle Eastern bazaar shopkeeper, whatever you want to call it. He provides Homer with the monkey's paw despite trying to dissuade him from buying it. Not a lot to the character, but he provides one of the more memorable screw the audience gags, which is actually not a common go-to in Treehouse of Horror.
Where did you get that ugly thing?
Wait, that little shop right over there. On your way, it was over there.
You'll be sorry.
Now, the shop owner is blatantly based on the shop owner from Gremlins, and he has a very memorable bit part with the "that's good, that's bad" gag.
The Frogut is also cursed.
That's bad.
But you get your choice of topping.
That's good.
The toppings contain potassium benzoate. That's bad.
Can I go now?
So you might be asking, why did I even include these two on the list? They're very minor, they're not like wider scope characters. Well, I just think they kind of embody what Treehouse of Horror is all about. These types of characters may or may not exist in a regular Simpsons episode, but in Treehouse of Horror, like, they're just par the course. By virtue of these two characters just having two really good gags and kind of embodying what Treehouse of Horror is all about, they belong on this list. Also, this is kind of an ass pull, and I have no evidence behind it. You can see the monkey's paw on the storekeeper's counter, which leads me to believe that there's a distinct possibility that in the unreleased Treehouse of Horror 3, which I've done a video on, they might have actually just had the street vendor in that same role. I don't know, it would have been neat, but the Gremlins shopkeeper they use is much more memorable. Coming in at number 7, we have Itchy and Scratchy from Terror of Tiny Toon. Itchy and Scratchy are rather prevalent characters, despite the fact that they are in essence a work of fiction set within a fictional world. All it is just an overly violent parody of Tom and Jerry that the Simpsons kids watch, but we have a slight understanding of each character. We know like what the characters are all about just based on the little shorts that we get to see, as well as any episodes covering their overall lore. In Terror of Tiny Toon, a story that I haven't actually reviewed in a Simpsons and Me video yet because I haven't gotten to that Treehouse of Horror yet, Bart and Lisa get to meet their favorite cartoon characters thanks to a radioactive TV remote, and they turn out to be rather bloodthirsty and vindictive. What seems like a great experience turns into a nightmare when Itchy and Scratchy both get slighted at the fact that Bart and Lisa would laugh at Scratchy's pain.
Why are you laughing? Hey, they're laughing at your pain! That's mean! Let's teach him a lesson!
I always found it funny that Itchy is just like mortified at the fact that somebody would laugh at what he's doing to Scratchy, to the point that he teams up with Scratchy to go after them. It's like, bro, you kill him like all the time. After this point, Itchy and Scratchy don't really do much, but I do like the implication that despite constantly murdering Scratchy, Itchy does care for Scratchy enough that he'd like stick up for him in this situation. It's cartoon logic within cartoon logic. It's like those episodes of Tom and Jerry where Tom and Jerry are just inexplicably friends. And I do like how in this like particular universe, the Itchy and Scratchy come into the real world and end up becoming pets for the Simpsons. And believe me, every time I've taken a cat to get neutered, this is what I picture.
You're beautiful!
Oh, somebody's in love. That means you'll have to be neutered.
I think part of the main reason why I'm including Itchy and Scratchy on this list is because this is like the only time we're ever going to see them interact directly with Bart and Lisa. But yeah, I guess because like I genuinely enjoy this story mainly because we get to see them interacting with Bart and Lisa, and because they're the focal point, that means it's okay to put them on this list.
Sorry, it happens.
Splendid, Betsy. You've done it again.
Coming in at number 6, we have another tie. We have the Bad Dreamhouse from the segment Bad Dreamhouse, as well as the Ultrahouse from House of Wax. It's another tie solely because each of these characters are different enough that I would consider them both for the list, but they're similar enough that I can't justify giving them each their own spot. Each one is an evil house, but one is due to supernatural forces and the other one is due to being a haywire AI. The Bad Dreamhouse is from an era where The Simpsons was more subdued in general, and it's very clear that they tried to pay tribute to haunted house movies such as Amityville Horror and Poltergeist. Harry Shearer voices this house that just tries to get people to kill each other, and the voice has like a very eerie, ominous feeling to it.
You must kill them all. They all must die.
Are you my conscience?
Yes, I am.
There's no reason why it's making the Simpsons try to kill each other that we ever get any sort of hint towards, but it is hinted at that the house just simply does not want people in it and wants to be left alone. I don't even think the house is really out to kill anybody unless it's a last resort. That makes it interesting. For example, it does get a hold of Bart and starts trying to kill him. It also drops Homer from the ceiling, and Mike, this one's for you.
Oh, it's got great high ceilings.
But when Marge decrees that they are leaving the house doesn't trap them, it gives them a chance to walk out. It even gives them their codes. And when Marge has her breakdown and after the house tries to give them one final scare, Lisa brings up the prospect that the house could grow attached to them in time, at which point the house decides it would rather kill itself.
Life with the Simpsons. What choice do I have?
It chose to destroy itself rather than live with us. You can't help but feel a little rejected.
We don't know the circumstances of the Bad Dreamhouse besides it being built on an Indian burial ground. We don't need to know the house's overall motivations, just that it's a haunted house. And I don't know, I like the Bad Dreamhouse. I think it's just like, it's something that they could have actually carried over into the mainstream, which they kind of do. Like, pretty much anytime there's a creepy house in Springfield, it does look vaguely like the Bad Dreamhouse, but it's not the same. But nevertheless, it's Harry Shearer's performance as the Bad Dreamhouse that earned it a spot on its list, but it has to share that spot spot with yet another well-voiced evil house.
Lisa, Lisa, the butcher knife, Lisa.
Now, the Ultrahouse is on here basically because I liked Pierce Brosnan's performance playing an AI superhouse based on his personality that falls in love with Marge and turns murderous. It's totally like a HAL 9000 type deal, and it's basically the only reason it's tied up here with the bad Dreamhouse is again because I like Pierce Brosnan. I didn't want two houses taking up the list, but Brosnan is just such a suave and cool individual, and when you put it into this portrayal to have the AI based on Pierce Brosnan's personality as like a murderous HAL 9000 type thing, it works on so many levels.
Hello, police. I think my house killed my husband.
This is Constable Wickham's. We'll be right there. Remove your knickers and wait in the bath.
I really do appreciate that Pierce Brosnan does have a sense of humor about himself. He starts out charming, but once he snaps and falls in love with Marge, he becomes sinister. But he doesn't change his demeanor because it's just the Pierce Brosnan persona. The idea of a cool, suave guy that's an absolute psychopath is scarier than a raving madman because he can appear to be desirable and normal. Like, this is just 100% based on a guest appearance. That's really the reason it's on here. Pierce Brosnan is a laugh riot in this. There's the part where he tries to deceive Marge, and then when Homer starts pulling the chips out of his CPU and destroys his British charm unit, despite the fact that Brosnan is Irish, is fucking hilarious. It kills me every time.
Thanks a lot, asswipe. I could have kicked your butt from here to Albuquerque, you fat slime bucket.
Hearing Pierce Brosnan do his impression of a boorish American accent is a nice way to wrap up the character's appearance. Once again, the two characters are very different, like, conceptually when it comes to the evil house gimmick, but they're similar enough that they can share a spot.
Can we help you with the dishes?
Marge, what kind of Cybertronic Ultrabot would I be if I let those beautiful hands touch dishwater? No, I'm asking.
Not a very good one?
Damn straight.
Coming in at number 5, we have Bart in the Bart Zone. If there was ever a perfectly cast role for a mainline Simpsons family member in a parody, it's Bart playing Anthony from Twilight Zone's It's a Good Life. Now, the segment itself is a parody of both the original episode and the remake from the Twilight Zone movie. It's more of like an in-concept adaptation, like it's a parody, and it does have kind of references to both of those versions, but it's kind of its own thing. It's its own spin on the concept. Giving a character like Bart like godlike powers and putting him in a world where his bad behavior is never checked makes this version of Bart so fun to watch. This was my first exposure to the whole like kid with the gnarly powers type gimmick, and as such was my first exposure to the story of It's a Good Life. And the entire concept is both twisted and disturbing while also being genuinely hilarious. I think this and also that Johnny Bravo episode is like where I associate It's a Good Life to. Bart is more Bart than he is Anthony from Twilight Zone, but he has just enough of that dynamic seasoned into his character where it's just so perfect. The idea that he's keeping Krusty from falling asleep with his powers to the point that Krusty's just a broken mess is so darkly funny.
346 consecutive hours, and all because of one little boy who won't let me stop!
Even having the conclusion where Bart finds his humanity through positive interactions with Homer, who at this point has been turned into a jack-in-the-box, is a shockingly good character arc for a segment that was like, what, 5 to 6 minutes long? They make Bart scary, but they still keep the overall essence of the Bart character from this point in time. It's also really funny to me that Nancy Cartwright was actually in the Twilight Zone movie version of It's a Good Life. And her fate in the Twilight Zone movie is only slightly worse than her fate in real life.
Oh, good. The curtains are on fire.
It's good that you made that awful thing, Bart. It's real good.
Coming in at number 4, we have Mr. Burns from Bart Simpson's Dracula. Now, Mr. Burns has a weird history with Treehouse of Horror. You'd think that being like the main antagonist of The Simpsons, and in the first 4 years of the show having the most spotlight episodes of a supporting character, that he would have more appearances. His first Treehouse of Horror appearance was in If I Only Had a Brain. He was a central supporting character in King Homer, and then of course he's the main antagonist of this one and has a brief appearance in The Shinning. And then after that, his Treehouse of Horror appearances were pretty minor up until Whiz Kids. I really wanted to put King Homer Burns here because he's great in that episode, but honestly, Mr. Burns' Dracula in Bart Simpson's Dracula is one of the most iconic side character images in the Treehouse of Horror franchise. I would say that there's only one other supporting character who is as synonymous with Treehouse of Horror, and we'll get to him in a bit. Like, he's basically Mr. Burns, but he's also Dracula. It's great. It's a great little mix. The character just works. It does play on the whole thing that Mr. Burns is old as shit, and it does make references to the Dracula movie that it's parodying, but at the end of the day, it's just them getting the best out of Mr. Burns. Both the concept of Mr. Burns as Dracula and Mr. Burns as a character himself mesh very well together, and it's pretty hilarious. The whole shadow dancing around in the background, and Mr. Burns' overall demeanor, where it's painfully obvious that he's a vampire, and he makes little to no effort to hide the fact that he is a vampire, but because he never outright states it, nobody in the Simpsons family besides Lisa figures it out. It's a great parody of the source material, but it's also only in that realm because Mr. Burns is just so damn good as Dracula. They even take the time to lampshade Dracula's stupid hairdo in the movie.
Dad, do you notice anything strange?
Yeah, his hairdo looks so queer.
I heard that. It was a boy.
I also love how he just completely forgets Bart's name before he bites him. I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit of a cop-out because it's just Mr. Burns as a vampire doing some references to the movie, but fuck it.
Well, if it isn't little... boy.
Coming in at number 3, we have Kang and Kodos from Citizen Kang. We've gone from them being benevolent to being conquerors to being a side gag back to them being conquerors. The main difference between Kang and Kodos from Citizen Kang and Kang and Kodos in The Monkey's Paw is basically political satire. Kang and Kodos in Citizen Kang are great by virtue of the gag that they're clearly aliens and are not doing well to replace Clinton and Dole like their plot is having them do, and yet they manage to actually completely succeed in their plan. This is probably the best the characters have ever been performed. Spraying Homer with rum is genius, but every time we see them on the campaign trail, it's just perfect writing. The performances of the voice actors are just so good here.
It makes no difference which one of us you vote for. Either way, your planet is doomed. Doomed!
Well, a refreshingly frank response there from Senator Bob Dole.
What's funny is that the characters, besides Homer, who knows what's up, are just completely oblivious to the fact that something is clearly wrong with Bill Clinton and Bob Dole. Like, they're just completely butchering it out there, and yet somehow they keep not getting noticed by the people of America. I think it goes to show that, like, everybody really pretends to give a shit about the elections, but they don't pay attention to anything during an election. Like, they don't know these people well enough to really make a judgment on them, because they can't even tell when they've been replaced with aliens. It's a total joy to watch Kang and Kodos in the body of the candidates for the '96 federal election, and when the jig is finally up, it changes nothing. They've somehow gone from having no understanding of American politics to understanding American politics perfectly, just in the very short amount of time that they've masqueraded as two presidential candidates.
This is a two-party system. Well, I believe I'll vote for a third-party candidate.
Go ahead. Throw your vote away!
And for all of that, all the hilarious moments and how they play their roles, this makes it the best use of Kang and Kodos in the entire Treehouse of Horror series. But there are just two more characters who kind of bump them off as my personal favorite Treehouse of Horror characters. Coming in at number 2, we have Flanders as the devil.
It's always the one you least suspect.
Now, I actually learned that Ned is an Old English term for the devil, so there's a deeper meaning to this, but having Ned Flanders, the perfect Christian to a fault,
I've done
everything the Bible says, even the stuff that contradicts the other stuff.
Secretly end up being Satan is pretty smart. It's like an obvious joke that's not that obvious. It's genius. They still managed to make him Flanders, but he's also Satan. He has the same cheery Flanders demeanor, but he's evil and opportunistic to collect souls.
I hold here a contract between myself and one Homer Simpson, pledging me his soul for a donut, which I delivered, and it was scrum-diddly-umptious.
They say Satan would come off as charming, and Flanders having just enough of his kind, neighborly demeanor while still being Satan is perfect. It works great. Typically, Ned Flanders is shown as kind of a doormat, but here, while he's still nice old Ned Flanders, he's got a mean streak to him because he has a goal.
I'm smarter than the devil. I'm smarter than the devil.
You are not smarter than me. I'll see you in hell yet, Homer Simpson.
The image of Ned Flanders is no doubt one of the most iconic supporting character appearances in the Treehouse of Horror series. Like, Devil Flanders is practically a mascot character for any sort of promotional thing or merchandise that is surrounded with Treehouse of Horror. In fact, Devil Flanders is the only Treehouse of Horror character, besides Kang and Kodos, to appear in more than one segment. As in the Treehouse of Horror 18 segment, Heck House, we do get to see Flanders take the role of the devil again. Now, this is post-Flanderization Flanders, but it's still worth noting that Flanders as Satan was so well received that they did utilize it again. But Devil Flanders is here not only because it's a great twist on the Ned Flanders character, but because he truly is the most iconic side character makeover in the entire Treehouse of Horror series.
All right, Simpson, you get your soul back. But let that ill-gotten donut be forever on your head.
Before I get to the number one pick, I just want to go over some of the characters who were considered for this, or could have qualified for this list, but were just kind of ranked out by my top 10 picks. I actually thought this would be a lot more of a cut and dry list than it ended up being. It was pretty hard to kind of deliberate who was going to fill most of the spots on this. Because, like, I considered Homer from The Shining, but then I really looked at it, and it's like, yes, he does go through the beats of the Jack Torrance, like, storyline, and he is a good parody of that character, but at the end of the day, he's just Homer. There's not a whole lot different about him. It's not like Bart in the Bart Zone where it's like there's that mesh. It's just kind of Homer playing Jack Torrance. Hugo was one I considered, and while Hugo's story is really good, like the Hugo character himself, besides his design, really does not bring a whole lot to the table. He's hardly in it. He gets a few funny moments, but the episode kind of gets stolen by Dr. Hibbert's appearance, which, if anything, I think Dr. Hibbert could have possibly ranked onto this list, just because he's great in that story. Tom Arnold's celebrity cameo in Life's a Glitch and Then You Die was also very briefly considered, but it's just a celebrity cameo. I didn't think it was worth a spot. I will say, though, I do like that Tom Arnold is kind of self-aware that he's known as not a great actor, like he's C-list at best. Mr. Burns in King Homer was also considered, but he's very just like kind of like a supporting role. He doesn't do too much. He has some really good funny moments, but like Burns' Dracula just belongs on this list more than him. Raven Bart alone was considered solely because that image is just very iconic to the Treehouse of Horror series, but well, the Raven is a great story, and it's kind of sad that they never really did anything like as artistically ambitious as the Raven again in one of these stories. It just ultimately didn't make the cut. I also considered Snorky from Night of the Dolphin, but again, doesn't really do too much. It's more so because the story itself is solid. There's also Lard Lad from Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores, but again, it's just more of an image than an actual character. There's not a whole lot to really like here. I mean, there's that interaction with Homer, but didn't make the cut. Now, I guess technically these next three would be like number 13, 12, and 11. 13 would be the Talking Krusty Doll. I love the Talking Krusty Doll. I love how they did the Talking Krusty Doll. It's like a kind of a homage to a bunch of killer doll movies. The story itself is based off the Twilight Zone episode, The Living Doll. And there are some moments that are also reminiscent of Trilogy of Terror with the Zuni doll, as well as Child's Play. But it just kinda didn't make the cut. I couldn't justify putting it on the list over any of my choices. At number 12, it would have been like Big Brother Flanders from Time and Punishment, because like his whole thing is generally creepy. It's kind of in the same realm as Devil Flanders, and we get a whole segment based on Devil Flanders, whereas in the Time and Punishment thing, we only get like a few scenes with Flanders. It's in the same realm, but ultimately we get more of it with Devil Flanders, and the image of Devil Flanders, as I said, is very iconic. Now the number 11, the closest one to ranking on this list, and one that actually might surprise everybody who knows me watching this, is Groundskeeper Willie in Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace. Like, I really did want to put him on this list, but like, I just couldn't justify putting him over any of the other additions. He just pretty much got ranked out by Treehouse of Horror 5 Willie for his cross-segment joke. It's a shame because Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace is one of the best stories that they ever did. It's definitely the best parody they did in Treehouse of Horror, but ultimately Willie as Freddy Krueger was just missing a few key elements of what a character would need to end up on this list. There are a whole bunch that I missed in here, so like at the end of the video, feel free to put some of your favorites on here that might not have made the list. And honestly, like, I did the runner-ups now because like I think who I picked might come as kind of a shocker. It's to a point where I almost kind of want to dare you guys to guess who would be there. Like, pause the video before I get to it, and then just like put in who you think it's gonna be. Go ahead, I'll wait. Coming in at number 1 is Jack in the Box Homer. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. My number 1 pick for Treehouse of Horror characters is Principal Skinner in Nightmare Cafeteria. Nightmare Cafeteria is by far the most disturbing Treehouse of Horror segment of all time, one that likely traumatized generations of Generation Y kids like myself. Principal Skinner in Nightmare Cafeteria is without a doubt my favorite character in the Treehouse of Horror series. The way they take a familiar concept that you see in this show regularly, which is Springfield Elementary's budgetary woes, and manage to twist it into a Soylent Green type horror story is genius. And the idea of taking Skinner, who typically isn't portrayed as a bad person even if he is an antagonist, and turning him into a cannibal and having him turn the entire school staff into cannibals just works on so many levels. Principal Skinner is a complete monster in this episode, but he still maintains his usual characterization, so he's not unrecognizable. Like how the plot just kind of goes from randomly being an idea to help with the lunch budget to being some sort of addiction that Skinner and the rest of the staff can't control, which then spirals into a factory farm situation within the school, is so fucked up on a psychological scale. And yet through it all, Principal Skinner is still Skinner. He's still playing the character and displaying all the traits that make him funny in the mainline show.
In fact, you might even say we just ate Ooter and he's in our stomachs right now. Wait, scratch that one.
They actually make this completely work with the character. Like, he's not really, like, he doesn't deviate from Skinner. It's not like Flanders is the devil where he's kind of throwing in those little devil things. Or it's not like, you know, Bart in the Bart zone where it's like, yeah, that's Bart, but he's like an evil kid. Skinner maintains the Skinner character, he's just like eating children. And using this familiar scenario, like, keep in mind, this is the same season that has the PTA disbands, just makes it work on so many levels. Like, mainline Skinner obviously wouldn't eat a kid, but like, this is kind of adjacent to some of the shit that Skinner has done in the past, like the whole thing with the Civil War reenactment. I absolutely love how he gets like ravenously hungry for Ooter when he realizes how fat he is.
No, that's your third helping, young man. It's making you fat and soft and tender.
And honestly, like, in a way, you can factor in the rest of the Springfield Elementary School staff here. Like, I like how Lunch Lady Doris is just like a feral beast at the end. How Krabappel starts getting all fucking fat. This whole situation is morbidly hilarious, but Skinner is the anchor character here. It takes the childhood fear of the school principal, usually an authoritarian figure, and instead turns it into a nightmare. Harry Shearer does an excellent job as Skinner, from being funny to being downright fucking terrifying.
Easy there, young man. You'll only make yourself tired and stringy. Now, to check on the free-range children.
He's a sociopathic, abusive monster, and yet he's still Principal Skinner. I think that's why this is so effective.
You remember me telling Jimbo Jones that I'd make something of him one day?
Are you saying you killed Jimbo, processed his carcass, and served him for lunch?
And despite all the characters I've listed, despite the draws, despite my reasoning, like, there is no doubt that Skinner is my favorite Treehouse of Horror character. Honestly, like, I didn't even really think of putting him at number 1 when I got here, but I weighed everything out. I'm like, you know what? I really like how they did Skinner.
I'm going to enjoy devouring you, Bart Simpson. Yes. I believe I'll start as you've so often suggested by eating your shorts.
Of course, the Treehouse of Horror series is full of a bunch of memorable characters and interpretations of characters, and you're entitled to your own opinion. But this is my video, so my opinion reigns supreme. So that was my top 10 Treehouse of Horror characters. Like, it seems like some of them may have been cop-outs, but these are just the characters who I personally associate with the Treehouse of Horror series the most, and as such, enjoy watching the most. They're all synonymous with what I think the series is all about. So what are some of your favorite Treehouse of Horror characters? Let me know in the comments. And with that, Halloween finally draws to a close, and we return back to our regularly scheduled programming. Just throwing it out there, I managed to barely match my video load from last year, so if you liked this video, drop me a like, hit that subscribe, comment, and share me with your friends. Happy Halloween, bitches!